Hi, everybody. Welcome to MIRICRIS. This is Veronica.
Hi, everybody. I'm glad to be here. Hi, Lori.
Hi. How you doing, V?
I think I'm doing fairly well. There's an awful lot going on out there. Have you noticed?
Oh, what a shit. Every day is a shit show.
I know. And we've got to find out how it relates to what the universal changes are and where's the evolution in all this or is it devolution? I think it's evolution. Got lots to talk about.
Evolution. Yeah, boy. What I, yeah, I'm almost speechless because it's so much and it's so overwhelming. But we've been doing some amazing videos on trying to help people through these intense changes, intense storms.
Mhm.
And we've done a lot of channeling on our own to understand who the culprits are and who we're dealing with exactly and what we can do about it
Mhm.
energetically with frequencies.
And what kind of
So,
power do we actually have? Quite a bit
yeah,
once we
yeah,
learn enough about how to do it, right?
yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Well, I know Mary Chris is always knocking on your head to get in. Do you want to? Are you
You
ready
just don't be so impatient, I say to them. I
to?
want people at home to know that they show themselves in all these streams of colored lights. It's um it's just electric in a way, and I just wanted to say that. So just
Wow,
envision these streams of colored lights coming around us all because they're out there for us, give us strength
wow.
and power. So let's talk to Miracris. I'll take a minute to tune out, to tune in, of course. We are here and we are eager to be here. One of the greatest influences we can have on many people is to say, be calm. This is a very transitional time for not just America, but it is a transitional time for humans all throughout the world. Some of it may not happen in a rapid moment, but you'll feel the changes moving through your species over and over again. And we're here to validate those. But Lori, you have specific questions about skirmishes or challenges that are going on in different parts of the world. So we are eager to
Yeah,
hear your questions.
thank you. I think, speaking on behalf of myself and many other people I know, one of the biggest frustrations right now, Mary Chris, is that as our government is being dismantled, there's no security. There's no military. There's no police. There's nobody to take Elon by the collar and yank him out of Department of Education, I believe where he is right now, along with his lackey hackers.
And he has no conscience, you know this.
Mhm.
This is a megalo dream, isn't it, to take over the country? No, it's the
Yeah.
world. Mm.
Does he have any awareness that he's putting himself in great jeopardy?
No, because he has this very intense um, demand in himself to rise into a huge performance, if you will. He's kind of crazy that way. He doesn't have
Mhm.
peripheral vision and he doesn't have the consciousness in his body mind. He's ultimately quite sensitive, but he blocks that on purpose because it would make him afraid. He's considers himself aristocratic. He considers himself beyond the rules of the average human being. You understand that? So
So
we're
this
saying
will
he's not feeling guilty. Go ahead.
No, I wouldn't think he's feeling guilty. It's just like, do you have any idea that you're going to wind up in prison, possibly over this action that you're doing?
No, because he thinks he can move past all that.
Ah, well,
He has certain kind of maniacal drive, and that makes him frightening. Trump also has one. It's a little different,
yes,
but both of them don't have that checks and balances that you might have. You see?
right. So, in watching this crazy video today of the Congress, along with all of their aides, there was about, what, 100 people who stormed the Department of Education demanding entrance. And there
Mhm.
was this guy, one guy, standing out in front saying, "You can't come in. You don't have an appointment."
And he
And
was
they're
a
like,
rather thin
we're the,
fellow. He didn't look very tough, did he?
no. And they're like, "We're the Congress." And he's like, "I don't care. You have to schedule an appointment." And it was so fascinating because they could have overpowered him. They could have physically taken him down, grabbed the keys, and gotten in. But because the Dems, and no one can ever tell me that the Dems are the same as the Republicans, but because the Dems have a sense of humility, they didn't do that.
Mhm. Also, we want
So,
to say another thing in respect of the, as you call them, the Dems, that there's a great deal of mind control being used. And the Dems, because of their nature of being a little more pliable when it comes to human suffering and understanding those things, are more receptive to mind control. Do you
ah,
understand that? It penetrates their thinking more easily. We're saying that there are changes coming up that are very graceful, and it is because of the democratic consciousness that they're going to be able to move through change, but not at this moment. They're frozen in a way.
right, but they're doing lots of great things, absolutely wonderful things. We have 19 attorney generals now from 19 states who just filed a restraining order
Hmm.
against Elon and Trump to stop this madness. And my question to you is, they just ignore it, don't they?
Yes, they do. However, it's going to get fiercer and stronger. And that's partly because the Democrats and some of their compatriot Republicans are going to move together and become, unfortunately, violent, but essentially violent. Do you understand that?
Oh, I do.
Yes, and we don't advocate violence, as you know, but this is going to be essential. It's not quite yet, but do not give up on the Dems, as you call them. Do not give up because they're steeping possibility and steeping affinity one for the other. And you'll see them when they're ready to burst forward, that they have a kind of a strength that is movable with consciousness that the Republicans will not demonstrate at all. So you'll feel excited because they want, most of them anyway, want the success of not only this country, but a lot of the programs that are international. They want success in the world. Elon wants to run the world. The Democrats don't necessarily. They want to integrate with the kind of a growth, evolution, and mutual service. Do you understand the difference?
Absolutely.
But there's a
And
time coming very shortly that's going to forgive us for saying this, but it's going to get bloody. So we're
um,
recommending that people have some awareness of that. And if you know, or whatever it is you know about self-defense, whether it's Tai Chi or, those kinds of things, practice your flexibility and your self-empowerment.
mm. And is that violence just in Congress, or is that in the United States?
It's in the United States.
Oh, wow.
And
Well,
unfortunately, some of the probably they are really the red states are going to become rather fiercely, without feeling, they're going to become very extreme about how to protect what they see as their right. You see?
well, what's crazy is, what do they think when you're dismantling a government and they're going after your Medicaid, your Medicare, your Social Security? Poorest people in the United States are in these red states. What do they think?
What they
They,
think is that people are out to get them and that they're
wow.
because they've got money, they think they're better. I mean, there's some very ignorant minds at work here.
Yes, I know.
And those are rallied by some of their own leaders. You understand that?
Yeah.
And we're sad about that as well because you could say little children who haven't learned to read yet are being blamed for not reading. You understand? It's kind of a parallel there.
So do they not understand what Donald Trump's objective is?
No, he's a hero to them, most of them anyway.
Wow. So they don't care about their data being breached, about checks
Oh,
not
no, no,
coming.
that's just a dim concept.
Oh, I see. That would never happen in their eyes.
Never. And
Oh,
as far as that, now one factor that's very important is that the medical problems are really going to become an issue for them, and that is that's for the greater good.
I see.
They will fight for that. And there are a
So
number of
that's
people
so
dying over
you're
the next little while.
so you're saying, MIRICRIS, that's where they start to feel it.
Yeah.
The more the diehard Republicans, the diehard red states,
hmm
the MAGA, that's where they start to
But you know
um,
what's interesting, Lori, is some of them are willing to suffer intensely before they make a fuss.
wow,
Yes. And that's
interesting.
for the sake of what they consider is that Trump is their savior, right? So they're doing that for the savior. And Trump
Yeah,
is a very evil, evil soul who wants to destroy the republic. And you know that.
yeah. Well, apparently Trump now, I just heard yesterday, is has now opened a church in his name in the White House. So when you talk about savior, I mean, it's a way to funnel money through as well.
He's going to, yeah, there's going to be some great violence there, right in the White House.
Really?
hmm
Will people die? Americans?
Not too many, but yeah, there will be some deaths.
Are these
And
Congress people?
yes, some of them, and some are belonging to, that sort of thing. But there's going to be a huge, we're calling it a sociological tantrum coming up because of that church in the White House and because of people being suddenly afraid of him. You know, it's not until they get really afraid are they going to act out. Some of the people that are going to, oh my goodness, some of the people that are going to act out have been in the January the 6th debacle.
Six. Yes,
And some of those, as you know, are criminals and
that's
they've
right.
all been released. So some of those ones are going to participate in disrupting the other ones who want to disrupt the church in the White House. So they've got these
Wow.
flanks, these different people of different levels of ignorance, both vehemence and ignorance. Do you understand that?
Right. But the violence is procured by the Republicans again?
Yeah, yes. We wouldn't say that well, yes, it's Republicans.
Well, they're MAGA, the Republicans. In other
MAGA.
words,
MAGA is a better word, yes.
yeah, well, they're all pretty much there. They're
But
all
Lori, we
hiding
have
in
to
the,
say to you over and over again, mind control has been used on these people.
wow. It's like you go to Mar A Lago, and I want to use Fetterman as an example here. John Fetterman, who's a Senate Democrat from Philadelphia, or Pennsylvania. He goes to Mar A Lago. Everybody who goes to Mar A Lago comes back after they've kissed the ring, and they basically are in a trance.
There's
And
some kind of a machine they've got in there. Can you find anybody who
no,
wants to break in?
are you serious?
I'm serious that there is a machine. There's a setup there which impacts and does affect the thinking of people that are there in a special room.
What
Understand?
what is the machine comprised of?
It's frequencies and it moves. One moment here. It moves, it has a circulation, certain kinds of frequencies that are circulating round and round in this room. So if you go in, you get a full dose of comfort with your brain working a certain way. Mr. Trump uses it for himself quite a bit. And you know, in this particular society, in the vintage in which you live, this isn't preposterous. This is possible. You know this.
Yeah, but for a lot of people, this would be really out there.
But also the people who are step by step following the Trump mechanisms of thought. They are being mind controlled, and you don't need to be in his little room with his little machine for that to happen. It
Yeah, he does.
happens.
Yes, he does. He has the typical pathology of a dictator who sets
Yeah.
up fear.
And the charisma. Charisma is
I
simply
don't know if he
energy.
has much charisma, but
He
okay.
does, or he wouldn't get the attention he does.
So what I found fascinating was John Fetterman went down. He was the only Democrat who went down to Mar A Lago and came back. And I would like to know what deal they struck because when he came back, he confirmed Pam Bondi for Attorney General. Horrible woman, awful woman.
But also, he was convinced. You know this. He was swayed. He was perhaps bought. And wasn't his illness a while back a stroke?
Stroke. Yeah,
Yeah,
he had a stroke.
because his mind, his brain, for example, his health, his whole, you're never just your brain. I bet you knew that. But anyway, his health has been very fragile at times and compromised. And he's had a lot of induction of ways of thinking, and his brain is more receptive than many. You understand that?
So,
In a way, you
but
want to have
why?
compassion for these people. It's hard to do that, isn't it?
Yeah, but why did he go? What was his reasoning?
Um, the same as what is that? The media team. The same reason they went.
Oh, from Morning Joe from
Yeah,
MSNBC.
it's the same reason they went to see how it works and to butter up Mr. Trump and all that. But they're pretty tough, and they're not succumbing to repatterning the same way as Fetterman is. You see, because he's very
Yeah,
vulnerable in that
he was
level.
vulnerable to it.
Mhm.
Can you read into what was the deal that they struck? Because clearly he got something.
He made promises. Wait, one moment. It's something to do with the elite. We're saying he made promises that he would deliver a certain level of respect for Trump. He was going to work the best he could to bring a
Oh,
certain kind of, well, basically respect and honor.
does he regret it yet?
No, he's not awake yet. You see, this is the thing you have
Oh,
to understand, and you probably know this already about mind control. It's like a trance, and they don't come out of it that easily. And we're saying again and again, because of his vulnerability, he is really there. He's become that. His personality's become that for a while. Now, probably within 2 months or so, he'll be coming out of it.
okay. Okay.
But we would like to say he'll say, "Good grief, look what I've been doing," but it will be very, very unlikely that he'll say anything that transparent.
Okay. And I just want to go back to the violence because it is such a big issue.
Oh,
Uh, I know time is a funny thing, but do you have any sense of when this is coming?
well, we're seeing right now that next week, there will be something that is very, what is this? This is February. Very illuminating regarding the violence and how the lines are being drawn within groups of people. And that's what's going to generate the violence. So we're seeing by the end of February, you should be seeing, and we don't mean to say should, as if it's imperatively important, but you should be seeing that rising of violence by that time. But having been forewarned, it's worth paying attention to that in advance for several reasons. One is people need to be forearmed, but that doesn't mean lots and lots of guns. But they're using mind control and direction like that. And your people need to understand they bring in the power of their own light, their higher selves, you understand it's a different thing, but it kind of amounts to the same thing. When you bring in the higher self, that doesn't mean mind control. It means um, layers and layers of self-empowerment that humans are capable of if they use the discipline on themselves.
Yeah.
So we're saying that's the best way to do it. And you'll see people will be using violence, physical violence, people will be using guns and so on. But many of the people that are not touched are people who surround themselves with light and keep building the light and share the light with their friends. You know that's true.
So, our Democratic friends, are they aware that this is a possibility again?
They don't want to know that, but yes, some of them are. Some are.
I mean, I went through the Dan White assassination of George Moscone and Harvey Milk when I was living in San Francisco, and I was rioting in the streets during that time.
That was
And
almost impossible to think would happen.
well, but if you think about it, this man who was a supervisor, who was an ex-cop, firefighter, wasn't he? Came in, no, cop, came in with a gun and just shot them.
Mhm.
So, anyways, I want to get to how we take Elon down and Trump. And I know we talked about this before, that something looked kind of shaky with them come February, March, April.
Mhm.
I don't know if that timeline still sticks.
It does, but what we're watching at this moment is if we get to watch a movie while you're speaking, you understand? And we see Mr. Trump's second chakra, his belly, his sole purpose is quite a mess at this time. As you know, he has a number of gastrointestinal difficulties and how those relate directly to a person's mental capacity. He is we would say is out of his mind quite often. Can you believe that or understand that?
I'm living that. Of course I can believe it.
No, the reason we say that, Lori, is to give you a good laugh, but also because when someone is out of their mind and they don't have the normal parameters, uh, you don't know really what they're going to do. Because all he has to do is start being very competitive with Elon, for starters, and pushed by a number of beings, and he's going to behave in a very, very dangerous and erratic way. Although we keep saying, we've told this one over and over again, that we see his dissemblement physically, mentally, and emotionally coming up step by step over the next few weeks.
Fantastic. And what about
The
and what
worst
about
part of that is if it makes him very, very dangerous. But we're saying it looks like it makes him weaker and weaker and less able to make decisions or to confront those he wants to conquer, you see?
right? And we've discussed somebody or some person's willing to take care of business.
Hmm.
If that's still on the table, I don't know.
Yes, you mean him being taken out of his misery?
Yes.
Yes, we agree with you. However, as you well know, we're not really comfortable or integrity wise, we're not sure it's the right thing to be encouraging that amongst people, you know?
I think it gives people a sense of relief and hope
Hmm.
from this side. And so that let's lead to Elon. We had seen that he sort of unravels mentally.
Hmm.
And is that still on track?
Yes, it is. But the thing about him is he's very dangerous when he unravels mentally. And you know that.
Yes.
Both of them are. And
So where, so Miracris, I'm sorry for these mundane questions, especially in your world, but we really are in survival here. So how
life on the
there's
planet is called mundane. You understand that?
so there is no military, there's no police force, there's nobody to go in and take care of these people, arrest them, get them to stop what they're doing. The only means that we have is judicial, and they're just scoffing at that. So that does lead to a sense of violence, I would think, out of pure frustration.
Well, we're saying it will lead to a sense of violence. It's not a sense of violence, it will lead to violence. You understand?
Yeah.
We're saying to people, don't try not to be afraid. because the fear sucks in a venomous reaction from out there. But we're integrity wise, we don't like to tell you to do something, but we are suggesting that we're inviting, um, there are several people, we believe at this time there are three, who could take out Mr. Musk.
Mhm.
And part of it is you'll notice that he's kind of getting cracked in the mind, and so is Trump. But we're seeing there are three specific beings who are aligned to bring Musk down, and we're encouraging that.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, some things just can't.
Well, it's sometimes it's instead of a million people, it'd be three or one.
Right.
So, and the thing about him is he is smarter than he seems because he seems like cold-hearted and just dedicated to being the winner. But we're saying there is a part of him that is going to begin to realize that he's a hated being, you see,
Right.
and he doesn't want that. And we say it in a compassionate way
Yeah.
because he doesn't feel that very much, but every now and then he's going to feel it. I say to you, pray for that. Pray for that. You notice some of these people that do incredible shootings, when they talk, they don't have any, when they did it, they didn't have any consciousness about the other people's pain. And
Yeah.
later they have it. So
Hmm.
we're seeing that Musk himself develops just snippets of that awareness over the next, probably by the beginning of April, he'll begin to do that and you'll see a change in him. However, Lori, we're saying there may not be time for that because there are several people wanting to bring him down.
Entertainment purposes only, and everybody.
Hmm. And this is
Well,
not a
it's true.
recipe.
It's for entertainment purposes.
And the thing is to
I'm
protect
being
the world.
morose.
That's
Go
okay.
ahead.
The thing is, it's to protect people, and so you can call it your militia. You see, because the
Well, that
militia,
was a question I had is will the military step up with the people?
yes, but only some.
Hmm.
This one is often fascinated by Millie, and Millie
Yes.
has, and he's of course been stripped of all recognition in the military and so on. But apparently, there are a number of people like him who have been, what would you call it, disemployed. And yet earned a great deal of respect through the years, but didn't get it. And there's a group of those that want to collect their military wit and move
Ah,
through Mr. Trump's reality.
yes, I read something where retired CIA and FBI may be coalescing
And the thing
together.
about them is they're going to be just steeped with integrity questions and all that. But the heart of a human being often conquers a lot of these other questions, doesn't it?
Mm.
And as we speak of Millie and the various beings that he's going to, we're believing that he is the one who's the kingpin here, but it may not be him. It's,
Ah,
but in any case, as we speak of the situation, there are tears. And the tears in these, they're mostly men, although there's a few women as well. The interesting thing is, as we speak of this, and there are some women, as I want to reiterate that, I cry, this one cries, because the people who will help care so much. You understand
mm,
that? You need to
mhm.
hear that in your heart and soul, Lori, because we need to know that there's many people in this country who care so much to resolve life for all, to resolve the ending of these conquerors. And we see several very strong military leaders who are going to weep their hearts out as they combat those who are destroying the Republic of America.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And we
Will,
also want to say this, which is compassion and
Mhm.
is wisdom. Wisdom and compassion and evolution are in the same pew in church, aren't they?
Mm. And how, just so we can get kind of an idea, how long will the violence last?
Oh my goodness. It might last, it might be a month, something
Okay.
like that. It's more than what you'd want. It would be nice to just go flip flap and that's over, but no, it isn't like that. It's going to go on. It's going to be insidious. It's going to be undercurrented. And that one of the biggest things that's going to happen is you have people in other countries wanting to participate and help. And we would say that's mostly on the side of the good guys. It's not like they're coming in a various way from all over the world. No, but you're going to find it lasts probably more than a month.
And will Trump still be alive?
No.
So who's fueling this? JD Vance? Or do
No,
we even,
we don't see him in it either.
yeah.
You
So
know,
who's,
JD Vance is a coward.
yeah,
So when you see these people coming for you from other countries and everything, he'll be under the table
wow.
because the art of being a vice president has been scribbled on by the rule breaking that he and Trump and Elon are doing. You understand? That the
So,
commitments that were made have been nobody's really believing in them anymore, except those who are really committed to America as their mother country. Do you understand that? And there are people who love being American, so it's not without foundation, you see?
so who's going to be in charge if Trump isn't there and if JD's not there?
Well, Lori, it might be military.
That's what I got today.
And
Thank
you
you.
could say that's very
I
scary.
got that there was a military, an interim military government.
And the thing about it is, it could be considered scary, but you and I know that it is required to hold some things together, and they're going to do a great job. But also, if this
They
is
won't be fighting for Trump, in other words.
exactly,
They,
they will
they
not.
will be on the side of peace.
Yes, and you'll notice that they draw to themselves a number of people from different different ways of being in the government or around the government or in the cities or whatever. They're going to come in behind them. They will create quite an interesting consortium of supportive people. And you'll find it really, there'll always be subterfuge. However, we see this as being extremely successful. And part of the reason for that is what you need to hear, Lori, is that humanity is in a state of evolution. And some of
Mhm.
that evolutionary drive is going to push through the crust of these difficult, marauding situations.
Right,
Criminality has been applauded too much in this country. Do you know that?
right. Uh,
Whether it's in the movies or in people's lives, and you understand. And so we're saying there's going to be consorting with different groups of people, some of which are going to be so wonderful that it's going to ultimately help you set up a new kind of a government situation.
and the government and the military will step aside.
Yeah, it'll unfold. Well, some of it will unfold into the new government. Yes, they're not going to take over. It's not going to be
No,
as linear as that, you see.
no. But they will be present. They will be a force. They
They
will
will
be
be a
there to
force.
try to keep stability.
Hmm.
They're not there to continue the role of Trump. Is that
No,
right?
not at all. Not at
Okay.
all. As we said, there are tears coming up in people who absolutely love their country, America, and seeing it dissembled and participating in helping it stay together. They're weeping. They're
And
weeping.
and who were some of the, because this is like the Second American Revolution. It
It
really
is very
is.
much so. Hmm.
And it'll be written as such.
Hmm.
So, who pops up, MIRICRIS? Who are some of the more prominent people uh, who come through this whole thing in the next while with the military
Well,
intervening? Who
we're
were some
mentioning
of our,
Millie, and but also Jamie Raskin, and
okay,
he has certain people that he would work with that he's bringing in. I don't remember their names. I could tell you the colors of their names. However, he has a number of people. He's exhausted right now, as many of them are, but there are a
mhm,
number of people standing there ready to participate in a new unfolding realm, and they do not want, for example, JD Vance in there. They know better. They know that Trump has put together some criminal minds. They need to
yeah,
get that moved out. So you'll watch it, and they'll make some kind of rulings. Several of them are already in the administration, but they'll make some kind of rulings to have some law and order penetrating the organization.
uh, and where are the Republicans in all of this?
A few of them are with the this group.
A few.
Yeah. Some
But
are some.
what
Do you
about
understand that some of them are afraid?
oh, yes, I guess. Will they be targets themselves from the MAGA right?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
And you know what? Some people will say, that's fine. Come
Yeah.
get me. And you'll know that those are real heroes. This is the way this country was built,
Yes.
not.
Yeah. A lot
So
of
you have
people gave
people
their
who are
lives.
afraid, but they're going to fight for it anyway. Do you understand that?
Yes, and I imagine this will absolutely shock the world in a quite profound way, more than
Yes.
what it's even doing right now. But when it
Mhm.
turns violent, I'm imagining that the world is going just to be like, oh my God.
But from our perspective, Lori, we see that there is a rising, this is almost stupendous. There is a rising in consciousness pushing through people who are going to change how they think, feel, and believe as they go through this next period
And
because
will
it's
we,
so shocking.
yeah, will we have a two-party system again? Or will that change?
That will change. However, let me see. We don't see two parties. We see three, possibly five, and they're more like side parties or ones that handle social issues or this and that. So you have them split up in different ways, defined in different ways. We're seeing five, three major ones, and some that are not so major
Huh.
but are around certain subjects.
Do you think the United States could reformulate itself as a parliament instead of the way we do it?
Yeah.
Or is that just too different?
Well, when you say it that way, we say, well, yes, but they will want it to be different as well.
Yeah.
There are some very smart people in the United States, and they want to change the patterning so that there aren't as many loopholes in terms of what people need in societies and so on. And so when you say parliament, the best thing about that is it's easier to keep track of the checks and balances, but not fully easy. And we're saying that there'll be a new style, and this is very American, really, a new style. It'll be partially parliamentary, but it'll be a whole new kind of a constitution. But they'll adhere to the constitution with pride and with care for all. But also, there's an attunement to evolution and compassion, which hasn't been made in the past. Do you understand that?
Right. So let me ask you, Mary Chris, will there be a change with the extreme agenda that the Republicans have had?
Yes.
Okay.
We only say yes because it's very difficult for us to break into the whole thing. But you understand that the Republican agenda has been a rigid, lockstep program for quite a while. A lot of
Yeah.
Republicans aren't like that, but they're afraid not to be, you see?
Mm,
So that will change the styles, will it not?
right. And will the states, I'm curious, will the states, what will happen to the states? Will they be reorganized into regions or will they stay?
Yes.
What's going
Except
on
that we're
there?
saying nothing right now because that's too big a job for a chaotic kind of area. People will cling to what is seemingly a good pattern right now, and then over time, it will change its way of being.
Okay. Wow, America is just amazing. And the last thing I wanted to say on the political front is that we got news that that Blackhawk helicopter had turned off its automatic dependent surveillance broadcast, which is ADS-B system, which is an advanced surveillance technology to track aircraft location. That was turned off, and that's not typical, especially
And
on
was
the
it turned off by those who were flying the helicopter?
don't know. I mean, it was turned off.
It feels like a sabotage of some sort.
Yeah, I know you
But
saw that
that would have come
before.
in from, we see the interruption in that came from a direct influence of someone who wants to undermine not only this one situation, but a number of situations. There are many more of those coming up.
Wow. Are they airline related?
Some of them are. They're related to strategy, strategic. It could be messaging and traveling, and it's along the guidelines of certain time frames. Hmm.
Oh,
There's more of
and
it to come.
yeah, who's behind it?
There's an undercurrent government who has been wanting to destroy America for a long time.
Oh,
Some of you call it the deep state,
oh, okay.
and this one calls it the tourniquet. There's a worldwide association that is trying to bring not just America down, bring down certain kinds of leadership. And that's where you'll find those who are guilty, but you won't find them. Understand? You won't find them.
You won't find them. It's too vague. Are they, is their objective, when we see this, we think their objective is bad, of course. It's to
It is.
undermine
This
the
is
United
bad.
States. Yeah.
hmm And because there's America was the leader of the world, and there are many who want America not be the leader of the world.
Yes.
That's simplistically put, you understand?
Yeah.
However, we return over and over again to the evolution, which sees eternity above. Everyone is working toward a higher frequency and so on and so forth. So it's a whole, it's like a parallel association, consciousness association. And more about that later, because that's just beginning to launch itself. So that
Wow.
is going to change reality and how people think in a masterful fashion. And it's partly induced or partly by extraterrestrials, ETs,
Hmm.
partly who are lending masterfully. We spoke of mind control and so on. They're lending or giving to some very, very highly placed individuals some mind powers that help move the consciousness of people. You notice that in some of the ET civilizations, they don't have war anymore and they look after each other, that
Right.
kind of thing. And this is an influence that is coming through that wants to penetrate the mass consciousness of humanity. Do you
Mhm.
understand that? And these are not only benevolent, but they're evolutionary.
Mhm.
See? And benevolence really brings up the power and the strength in an evolutionary group, doesn't it?
Right.
So there's much about healing, much about love, much about, because love is a very huge, huge potion for evolution. You know that.
Mhm. Miracris, I'm sorry to belabor this point, but you did say something. I think it's gonna
We hope you
put
regret, Lori.
no, no, it's gonna make a lot of people very concerned, and that is airplane travel.
Hmm.
And you said there is this funny thing with time frame with
Hmm.
it. Do
Hmm.
you have any more information to help us make our choices around travel?
We'll say something you might not like, which is we're recommending that people, if they're going to travel, go into yourself, into your center, and ask to feel what this traveling is like for you at this point. Is there success? Is there failure? It sounds very simplistic, like pendling, that sort of thing. We want you to do that because one of the things that's happening is humanity is becoming more and more able to read ahead of time what's going to happen. You see? So if you pay attention, you want to take a plane trip and you pay attention inside yourself and read very carefully, is this going to be successful? Feel in all your special vital organs. Is this going to be successful? Is this journey going to be safe? You'll notice that your bodies and your whatever healing tools you like to use, they'll tell you over and over again, this is safe, this isn't, this is dangerous, this isn't. You have to keep your
Mhm.
words simple. So we're saying it's time for each of you to become responsible to the best of your ability of paying attention to those options. I don't think that the murdering of people is a massive joy in the craziness of the leadership these days. However, they will be doing, they'll be very disruptive in certain, like they did with the Blackhawk. They're disruptive in such a way that people have to pay attention as if every plane trip or helicopter trip, even sometimes in trains and buses and boats and so on, you need to always be checking how you feel.
Mhm.
Many people say a lot, oh, boy, I didn't feel that was going to work out. I felt blah, blah. Constant live like that for a while. Live like that
And
for
how long does this go on for with this
probably
intensity?
a year or two. We want to say it depends on, again, I have tiers for people who are going through things. Anyway, it depends on how long it takes to readjust what the world order looks like. You understand? And
Mhm.
whilst it's going through the most turmoil, and it will be going through a great deal of turmoil for the next year or so, whilst it's going through a lot of turmoil, you can be sure that you have to testing yourself more often than you would have expected. There's
Wow.
not just an end, oh, well, this was last week or this is Fridays for the next year. No, it's
Yeah.
a constant dangerous streak, but we're
Right.
not thinking it will go on forever. It'll just go on for a period of time while the Earth plane, it's not just America, while the Earth is reorganized, or the Earth's leadership is reorganized.
Wow.
And you want that. If each of you who's listening to this thinks about it, you really want that. Because
Well, we want that without sabotaging airplanes that we're
exactly. You want power without it being over everyone. You understand that?
Do they ever figure out who's doing it?
Yes, there will be not 100%, Lori, but they will be
No.
finding quite quickly again that the powers of investigation are improving and
Mhm.
reading signs and so on. And so those who are in charge of these things are going to get much better at reading in advance. Oh, this plane I'm flying today is feels very dangerous to me. I better get
Right.
in there and you understand?
Yeah, no, I understand. I travel a lot and I do that
It's
as
like
well.
reading the
Even
map,
now I do that before any of this.
but
Yeah.
not everybody's like you. So we're saying go ahead and teach
Oh,
everybody
we,
to do that.
we need to help people with that.
But it looks like it's like a year and a half where it's really quite, what would you call it, scattered or up and down, or people just aren't sure.
Okay. All right, Mary Chris. Wow,
One
that's a
more
lot
thing,
to
Lori, is in that
digest.
period of time, you will find there are segments of time that feel very safe. Take
Yeah, of
advantage of
course.
those.
Yeah, yeah. Very
Okay?
good. I would like to say this in closing, for people who want to really rise up and get kind of a sense of how things are going and what we can do. Alexandria Ocasio um, Cortez, AOC, has an amazing show that we've just posted on the community page here about how government functions, what's happening, what the Dems are doing, what they can do, and what you can do. And it's some very, very simple steps, very simple. And she's quite a leader. I look forward to seeing her hopefully in 10, 20 years from now.
Well,
Um,
even in the interim, because she has what you and I need is the courage and the perception and the intellect to and
mhm,
the friendship with Bernie Sanders for starters, but she has the ability to pay attention to some of the more nefarious things going on and make sense of them, which is what we're
absolutely.
trying to do. Yes.
And she puts it in a great framework. It's an hour and a half long, but well worth listening to. I really enjoyed it.
Good. Well, good for her. Good for you.
So my church bells are ringing. I
How
don't know if you,
appropriate.
it's that time to go. Thank you,
Well,
Mira Chris.
much
That was a lot.
gratitude to you, Lori, for the work you're doing.
Oh, that was a lot to take on, everybody. And please don't worry. It's going to be okay. Let's meditate. Let's calm ourselves and breathe. Breathe, breathe, breathe whenever we start to feel uncertain.
And make as many minutes okay in your day as you can.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Lori.
everybody.